Hari Om. Narasimha Akhilajnana Matadvanta Divakaraha Jayat Yamita Sajnana Sukha Shakti Payonidhi Abhramam Bhangarahitam Ajadam Vimalam Sada Ananda Tirthamatulam Bhaje Tapatrayapaham Apadamauliparyantam Gurunam Akritim Smaret Tena Vigna Pranashyanti Siddhyantita Manorathaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Hari Om Hari Om. Okay. I hope my video is also visible now. All right. So, yeah. So, the reason why I wanted to have this thing along with, based on what Sri Venkateshji said, basically, there is a certain perception about Vayu. Okay. And we as in the Madhva community also reverse Vayu as Jivottama. So one is the common perception, and on the other hand, we say Hari Sarvottama Vayu Jivottama, right? Ours is that is our slogan. And now the question is, there are differences in these perceptions, right? The common perception, when I say, I'm not restricting it just to the Smarta or the Advaita thing. I'm talking about the general public that is out there, and even the scholars among them. Now, you will find the commonly used translation also saying wind god and that kind of stuff. Now the common perception again, right, is that he is one of the Dikpalas, that is out. He is one of the 8. So Indra, Agni, and so on and so forth, and he is of the southeast direction, Vayavya direction. And he is one of the, since he is a Dikpala, he is also subservient to Indra and others. Of course, he has a role to play in us, and right, one is he controls the breath, and he is generally considered very strong. This is the common perception. Now, this problem, this point, right, that he is subservient to other devatas is something that is of opposition, or something that is different from what we hold him as. In our philosophy, there is a class of beings who can become Brahma eventually. Brahma Pada Yogya. Not everybody can become Brahma. Not even Rudra, not even Garuda, Sesha, none of them can become Brahma. And they are called Rujus. So Acharya talks about this. And Brahma is considered a very highly important deity by everybody, not just Madhvas. Even the common folk also accept that Brahma is, kind of the foremost among the deities. Of course, he is still put on a ladder next to Rudra by common people. We will correct that also, once we understand, and once we go through these slides here. So, in Madhva philosophy, Vayu is the Ruju. He is also a Ruju who will become Brahma in his next Brahmakalpa. So, basically, the idea is that, you have these different Brahmakalpas. There is one Brahma. The Rujus, basically, they keep doing sadhana. They do sadhana for, 100 Brahmakalpas. And at the end of 100th Brahmakalpa, they will become Mukta. So they are all, it's like not really a ladder, it's like a queue. A Ruju queue is there. And then Brahma is the person who goes to Moksha right now. Then whoever is there in Vayu's position right now, he will become Brahma. And then in the next Brahmakalpa, and then he will become Mukta. So there is a queue, and there are different queues here. Okay, right? So that is the Madhva philosophy, that idea about how every person, how every Ruju becomes Brahma and then eventually becomes a Mukta. Now, what is meant by the word Ruju, right? Ruju means straight, right? It is the opposite of Vakra, which means curved. Well, the reason is that, the scripture tells us that except Brahma, except these Rujus, right? All have a little bit of Vakrata, right? They propitiate God. They worship Vishnu, the Sarvottama, because they have an end in mind. They want to accomplish something else also. Many a time it is not there for the higher deities, but sometimes they also can get little tainted by a kama, a desire, right? On the other hand, the Rujus, they are always, they are the complete Ekanta Bhaktas, right? They are completely devoted to Vishnu. They do not have any desire except to please him. They do not have any personal desire, so to speak. On the other hand, the non-Rujus, they can get tainted with some other, desires that are not related to Vishnu. So if you see, as you go down the hierarchy, right, as you go down the Taratamya, so Garuda, Sesha, Rudra may have some instances of where they have other desires, or where their knowledge or their dhyana about Vishnu, their meditation about Vishnu is interrupted. On the other hand, Brahmas or any of the Rujus, they are always devoted to Vishnu. Their mindset, their focus, their whole aim is to please Vishnu. That is why they are called Ruju, because their aim is straight. They are worshipping God with no other aim but to please him. That's all. They like it. It is their inherent nature. And that is why they are also called Jivottama, right? Because they are, that is the best form of the Jiva that can be, which is, complete subservience to Parabrahma, that is Vishnu. And in our Siddhanta, he is also called as Bharati Ramana. That is, his wife is Bharati, and she will become Saraswati in the next Brahmakalpa. So just like you have a Ruju queue, there is a Ruju Patni queue also. So whoever is Saraswati now, she will become Mukta along with her husband, who is currently Brahma. In her place, Bharati Devi will come, and she will become Mukta. And whoever is there right now, okay, some people say her name is Swaha, and she will become Bharati in the next Brahmakalpa. So that is the queue that keeps going on. Now, this Vayu is also Guru to other devatas like Rudra and Indra. Okay, according to us, he is not only Guru, he gives them knowledge, he removes ignorance from them, he removes sin from them, and he is never afflicted by sin himself, right? This Mukhyaprana. And he's almost liberated. I mean, he's like almost there, he's not subject to other vices like, not just sin and other things, but, sloth, greed, none of those things exist in him. He's almost there, liberated. Now, him being superior to everybody, including Rudra, Indra, is so different from the way common people look at it. Now, the question is, how do you move forward, right? I mean, how do you decide which one is correct, right? Now, this is where I need to present a little bit of a disclaimer, right? See, if you want, this is not a subject where we can put our personal preferences, and then, come to a conclusion. We need to have evidence to be able to support our claim. And this is Atindriya Vishaya for us, right? What is the nature of, whether is the Vayu's nature like as supported by the common perception, or whatever Madhvas think, is which of these two things is true, right? It cannot be both, because there is a conflict over there. As we noticed previously, right? One Vayu, the common perception, Vayu is subservient to Indra and other deities. He is like somewhere down there. On the other hand, Madhva philosophy places him on the top almost, right? Next to Brahma only. Now, what is the truth? And this, how do we arrive at that truth is more important thing. So I must caution here, right, that this is not a subject of logic or whatever it is. The evidence has to come from Agama. That is the Veda only. We cannot say that, I conducted this experiment and therefore this is the truth or anything like that. Because all these deities are Atindriyas to us. We do not know how many deities are there if there was no Agama at all. Agama is scripture. So scripture is the fundamental thing that gives us the evidence on the nature of deity, and in fact, how many deities are there, whether there are multiple deities, there is one deity, there are 10, how many of them, all of those facts have to be derived from the scripture. So I must caution here that, whatever I'm going to present further, it is going to be textually very heavy. It is dependent on textual interpretation also, right? And so please bear with me. I think that is the only way we can move forward. And otherwise, if we don't take this Veda, this thing, then it will become just, personal opinion. And people can keep fighting on personal opinion, but it will not have any bearing on what truth is. And truth can be determined in this particular subject, which is whichever is beyond our senses. Truth can be understood only through scripture, and primary of that is Veda. Veda is evidence, again, because it is Apaurishaya, and with that we will see what kind of scriptural evidence do we provide, we as in Madhvas provide, to hold 2-3 things. Okay, I mean, it's not just that some of these things about Vayu being superior to other deities. There is also that, we will eventually come to the point where we will have to understand how others interpret the same text that I am going to present now, and why they are wrong. So it is a little of textual exercise. Please bear with me, but that is the only possible way to get to understanding the nature of deities, and that is the right way to go about it. With that, let's talk about some of the the passages that are out there, right? So this particular thing comes in multiple Upanishads. Okay, I have just put 3 of them here. I will detail more of them as we go along. So one is the Chandogya Upanishad's line, right? Prano vava jeshthasreshthascha. Similar thing exists in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Prano vai jeshthasreshthascha, right? Jeshtha means seniority and Sreshtha means superiority. So what we are trying to say here is that the Upanishad, what it is trying to tell is Mukhyaprana is senior as in he was one of the deities who was born first from Parabrahma, that is Vishnu, along with Chaturmukha Brahma. It is very important here. So because, see, the thing is that, let's say I am the king, right? I will take the best of my people to, I will employ the best of my team members to basically do my, my work at hand. And so what does Parabrahma do? He puts 2 of his children, and I mean, that is, one is Chaturmukha Brahma and then is Prana. So the fact that Prana's birth happens before that of Rudra, Indra, all these people, shows that he is senior, not just senior to them in so-called age, that he is also dearest to Vishnu compared to them. Okay, it is, I mean, just look at this as a simile, right? That whoever you think is your best in the team, you will employ them on your best project. So here Srishti is the project, and Vishnu puts Brahma and Prana there, and therefore Prana is Jeshtha and Sreshtha. Okay, Sreshtha also because now for telling you why it is Sreshtha, it is important to know the context here, right? The context is these Indriya Abhimani Devatas. So the Brahmanda has been formed, and Vishnu comes into Brahmanda and he expands his form to fill the Brahmanda. Rather, I mean, his form fills the Brahmanda. And he also has Chaturmukha Brahma, who is also of similar size and he is called Virat. So the universe is filled up by Virat Rupi Parabrahma, that is Vishnu, and also Virat Namaka Chaturmukha Brahma. And out of different organs of this Chaturmukha Brahma, you have different deities coming out. For example, the sun, the Aditya, he comes out of eyes, right?
The voice is breaking.
I do not know what to do because I have not done anything now. Is it better now by any chance?
No, it's better. I think Venkatesh Bhatt
Venkatesh Bhatt has the problem. Otherwise, we don't have any problem. It is very clear. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. The other, so then what happens? So there are different deities that have come from, basically they have their places in the different organs of that Virat form of Chaturmukha Brahma. Okay. So Aditya is there, Sun is there, Chandrama is the Manas, he is there. Manas, the mind that is governed by, Rudra, Garuda and Sesha, Indra, Kama, all of them are basically residing and in the Brahma's mind, right? So they all have this fight. They all claim that they are the most superior ones, right? And mind you, this episode is told in at least 3-4 times in, not 3-4 times, the whole of Upanishads, if you take even the main ones, right? Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, Shatprashna, Aitareya, you will find this thing repeating in every other Upanishad, and Brihadaranyaka has it at least some 2-3 times. Okay, same in Chandogya also. Now, they all basically compete. They say that, we are the best, and things like that. They go to Chaturmukha Brahma and tell him to decide who is the best among them. So Chaturmukha Brahma tells them that, look, okay, here is the body. You all get out of the body, okay? And if the body is not able to sustain, okay, if you depart, then there is a real dependence on you. Therefore, you must be the greatest of them all. Similarly, after you have left, let's say you come back in and the body is able to function only after that, then again you are the best. So all the devatas agree, and Chaturmukha Brahma and Parabrahma, they play neutral in this game. So they basically say that, let all the deities show their natural or inherent powers. So, for example, the first thing that leaves is Vak. Your Agni, right? Agni will leave the body. At max, and the person will behave like a mute person, right? Dumb person. Then the Agni will come back. No major difference except that he is able to speak now. Then what happens? He is the Dik Abhimani Devatas, which is basically who control your ability to hear, right? The Shrotra Devatas. They depart from the body. And what will happen? That person will be deaf. Not much of a difference. And similarly, all the Devatas leave. Even Manas, even Garuda, Sesha, Rudra, they also leave the body. What happens? That person will behave like a fool. But he will continue to live. Then what happens? Prana will leave. Okay? And everything collapses after that. Basically, all the other devatas are there now, back. They have all gone, and they see that there is not much of a difference. They come back. And then what happens? Prana leaves. They all leave after that. Okay? So in fact, Chandogya, see the nice example that it gives. Ataha prana uchchikramishyan sa yatha suhayaha patvisha shankun sankidedet evam itaran pranan samakhidat tang havihi sametya uchuhu bhagavan edi tvam na sreshtosi ma utkramiriti. Then, just like a powerful horse from they talk, in fact, it is not mentioned here, but from Sindhu Desha, okay? They've told in another Upanishad. From Sindhu Desha, those horses are very powerful. So let's imagine the horse is tied to the ground using some pegs. But then the horse decides to move, and then it surges forward. It pushes forward. All those pegs will come off as if they have no other option but to move along with the horse. Exactly in the same manner, when Mukhyaprana comes out of the body, all these other pegs, all these Indriya Abhimani Devatas, they feel that they cannot stay there. They will be forced to move out along with him. And they will say, you are the best among us, please don't do this. And who are these Indriya Abhimani Devatas? We are talking about Manas, starting from Manas, Garuda, Sesha, Rudra, and Indra, Kama, Aditya, Agni, all Devatas, basically. They all tell, look, we cannot stay here if you are not around. So therefore, please, don't go away from here. Similarly, there are other cases in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. Okay? They all again do this, Devatas do this spardha, they compete as to who is the best. Now, Prajapati, that is Parabrahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, he will tell them, look, okay, I will come and try to give you fatigue. Okay? So then let's see who is able to overcome fatigue. So they call it, I mean, he takes the form of death because he is Chaturmukha Brahma is like, he becomes like death in the sense that he is capable of stopping or obstructing their basic functions. So because of that, when he comes and attacks Agni, the walk, your speech will become tired. Okay. So Agni then realizes he is not capable of overcoming fatigue. Similarly, Chakshu, after a while, your eyes will get tired. You cannot keep seeing forever, right? Similarly, with all other Indriya Devatas, including Manas, even your mind will get fatigued, but not Prana. When Chaturmukha Brahma, in the form of Mrityu, when he attacks Prana, nothing happens. Yoyam Madhyama Pranaha, Tani Jnatum Dadhrire, Ayam vai na sreshtaha, yas sancharanscha asaranscha na vyathate. He doesn't have any fatigue. Na vyathate. See, whether he is moving or not moving, doesn't matter. Mukhyaprana does not have any fatigue. See, this is a point to remember when we try to interpret Mahabharata or what do you call Ramayana. Hanuman or Bhima, they never show any fatigue. They are continuously involved in the activities that they undertake. Other people, right, they show fatigue. For example, in one of the days of Mahabharata, right, everybody says that they will sleep. And Arjuna says, okay, let's all sleep. No, Bhima never complains of fatigue and things like that. He is continuously on the game of doing his Devakarya, right? So this Shrama, the absence of Shrama, is something that is there possible only for Madhyama Prana. Please note this word Madhyama Prana. Now the same thing, right? This what they showed here in the first line, right, is basically what is happening for the Indriya Abhimani Devatas who are within the body. Now the Upanishad goes on to tell that if you take the what do you call the case of the same Devatas when they are outside, okay, Adhidhaivatam, when in those cases, all of them basically they have to see sa yathaisham prananam madhyama pranaha evam etasam devatanam vayuhu nimlochanti hi anya devataha na vayuhu. Other devatas knowledge, it has interruptions, it has a setting point, okay, but not Vayu. Nimlochante means basically, you blink and then you close kind of thing, right? And that Nimlochana, you close your eyes. Basically, your knowledge has a setting, right? Otherwise, the Devatas are they continue to exist. All Jivas are eternal. So all Devatas are also eternal. So when you say these Devatas close or whatever it is, it means that their knowledge has a break. Their knowledge can have interruptions, okay? But not Vayu. Sa Aisha Anastamita. There is no setting down for this Vayu. Sa Aisha Anastamita Devata Yad Vayuhu. So that person is called Vayu. Okay. Now see here, right? They use the term Madhyama Prana very clearly here. And then there is also the equivalence of this Madhyama Prana and Vayu here, right? Now, so now very clearly, at least in the Upanishads, you will notice that the Madhva idea of the Mukhyaprana being the supreme amongst the deities is very clearly there. People may say here, right, for example, right, in all these cases, right, all the devatas are only Indriya Abhimani devatas. They are only the presiding deities of the Indriyas or the Manas. Why are you thinking he is Jivottama for everybody? The answer to that is, there is nothing which says that it should be limited to that only those Indriya Abhimani Devatas. And who are all the Indriya Abhimani Devatas that we are talking about here, right? It is Garuda, Sesha, Rudra, Agni, Varuna, Indra, Kama, all the deities, all the main deities are there. And them, they are being referred as people who accept that Tvamna Sreshtosi, you are the one who is superior to us, right? And same thing happens in Brihadaranyaka also. And in Aitareya Upanishad also the same thing is told. but they keep referring to this being who is superior to them as Madhyama Prana. Okay. Now there is, I just took this slide just to show you who are all the people who are involved in this exercise, right? So Sthula Mano Abhimani Shakra is there, right? His Manas has many, Manas, that is mind, has different aspects to it. There are different aspects are governed by different deities. So at the gross level, Manas is controlled by Indra, okay? And he is the one who ensures that you do the proper karma, right? Sesha is the one who is the Abhimani for the more subtler aspect of mind, and he is the one who is responsible for ensuring you do proper interpretations of the scripture. Similarly, Rudra is also a Mano Abhimani Devata, and he is the one who is responsible to ensure that you are not deluded. And similarly, Garuda is the one who is responsible for the aspect of that aspect of mind which enables you to meditate properly. All of these different deities are involved over here. So superiority to these deities automatically implies superiority to every other deity. And not just that, there is nothing there which says that the superiority or whatever it is, that Sreshtha and Jeshtha is restricted to only this much, only this scope. So in any case, these episodes, right, and there are many of them across the Upanishads, these very clearly show us that Mukhyaprana is the Jivottama. So let's go back to our original point. So his Jivottamatva is very clearly mentioned in these Upanishads. Now, not only that, right? There is one Upanishad also tells you who this Madhyama Prana is. Please keep remembering the word Madhyama Prana. It will help us understand why there is a common perception about Vayu being a smaller one. Okay. This one is from same Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay. Adhaisha sloko bhavati yatascha udeti suryaha astam yatracha gacchati. Okay. So this prana is the one from whom Surya and all other people are basically, they take birth. He is the one who gives them birth and who controls them. And they get their laya at the end of this Brahmakalpa. Basically, during the Srishti, what happens? The superior deities give birth to the immediately inferior deity, and so on and so forth. And in Pralaya, basically, it is like, the collapse, right? The smaller jivas, they basically go approach their senior and then, discard their bodies there. Their senior will go to his or her senior and then discard their bodies there. And finally, everybody will come to either Garuda or Sesha, and who will eventually go to Saraswati and then Brahma. So this sequence is important to understand Taratamya. So basically, you are submitting yourself to your senior during the Laya. So whoever the converse of that is, whoever you are having Laya with is superior to you. Now, this Upanishad is telling that Surya and all these other deities, basically they are born out of prana and they eventually get laya in prana. So therefore, this prana, Madhyama Prana, is superior to all of them, including Surya and Manas and all these people. Okay. Now, this I think is not there. Now, this is another important one. Mukhyaprana superiority is best mentioned in Shatprashna Upanishad. Okay. Shatprashna is basically the questions, is the Upanishad that records the 6 questions that have been asked, or rather the questions that have been asked by 6 people to Pippala the Rishi. Okay. So the first and the second Prashna, the questions there, they relate to Mukhyaprana big time. Okay. And here, now, same thing happens. The Devatas, again, they come into this debate of who is superior. I must pause here, right, to caution one thinking, right? It is not like Devatas are like us. Okay, we compete here because we are not sure of who is superior and all that. But that is not the case with Devatas. Acharya clarifies this in his works. I think it is in Tatparya Nirnaya, Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya or Bhagavata Tatparya Nirnaya, he mentions that Devatas do this kind of competition, so to speak, because they want to teach, they want to communicate that prana, vayu, jivottamatva. They want us to understand that. So every Upanishad or every other Upanishad will have this thing, and they will keep showing it in a variety of ways. They will try to highlight vayu, jivottamatva, right? And that is why we should not think that, these devatas, how many times should they be told that, Mukhyaprana is the Jivottama? They know it. In fact, it is due to their blessings that we are able to learn about it. They do this kind of spardha, right? So that we get clarity on who is the Jivottama there. So here in this, right, again, now look at what this one says, that, they all try to leave the body and then nothing happens. But when Mukhyaprana leaves, just like the queen bee, right, or Madhukara Rajanam, the king bee, okay, the moment it goes, everybody follows that one. And where it stays, everybody stays there. Similarly, when Mukhyaprana leaves, right, Vak, Manaha, Chakshuh, Shrotram, Tvak, everybody else, Varuna, Daksha, all of them, and Rudra, Garuda, Sesha, all of them, Aditya, Agni, and Indra, all of them will leave the body if Mukhyaprana leaves. And if Mukhyaprana is there, they will at least have a place to stay, right? And here very clearly it says, they all tell Prana, it is because of you that, Agni is capable of burning. It is because of you that the sun is able to burn. It is because of you that Indra is able to give us rains. Okay, it is because of you that this entire earth is capable of holding things. So these devatas, now see here, right, the scope has grown beyond what Indriya Abhimani devatas. Prithvi and all these people are also there here now. They are Tattva Abhimani devatas. So even among Tattva Abhimani devatas, prana is Mukhya, Vayu is the Sreshta. And in fact, whatever destructible, whatever indestructible is there, you are the best among that. That's what the Upanishad tells here. Now, not just that. Here comes another point within Shat Prashna, which is important for us. It basically says, Yatha Samradeva Adhikrutan Viniyunkte Etan Graman Adhitishtaswa Etan Graman Adhitishtaswa Iti Evameva Esha Pranaha Itaran Pranan Pruthak Pruthak Eva Sannidhatte. What this one says is, just like an emperor, right? He tells his immediate subordinates, saying that you take these villages and then you govern them, right? And just the way he distributes the work. Similarly, this Mukhyaprana, he tells other pranas. See the word Itaran Pranan, very important, right? So, which means that now there is prana is there, and there are other pranas who are not as main, who are his subordinates. So the Upanishad is telling us that three things here. One, there is a prana who is like a samrat. And then there are other pranas, which is now in multiple. The one which was first was one. Then there are itara prana. There are other pranas who are multiple in number. The third thing that it tells is that the main prana, that is Mukhya Prana, regulates and governs, and he appoints these itara prana. Who are these itara prana? Basically, that will come to. It is, prana, apana, vyana, dana, udana, suman. These, they also have the same, one of them has the same name as Mukhya Prana, that is prana is there. Okay. Now, so there is Mukhya Prana who governs prana, apana, vyana, udana, saman. And he tells them that these are the different areas within the body that you need to govern. And he himself goes within them and he gives them that power to do it. That's what the Upanishad tells later. Now, in the same Upanishad, another important point comes up, right? Here, this comes in the sixth question, I think. So here, basically, they ask, the question is, right? The Shodasha Kalas are there. and they are basically, they ask Brahma, right? Based on what do I get out of this body, and based on what do I stay in this body, kind of thing, right? So in the point of explaining that, he mentions sa pranam asrujata. Pranat shraddham kham vayuhu jyotihi apaha prithvi indriyam mano annam. Then it goes to the next one. So first one that gets created by Parabrahma or even Chaturmukha Brahma is prana. Pranat shraddham, from prana, shraddha is born. And then these other 5 elements, which is akham means akasha, vayu, jyoti, apah is water, jyoti means agni, and then prithvi, indriyam, manaha. So all the indriyas also, and then the mano abhimani devatas and prithvi. So the 5 tattvas, and then also the indriya abhimani devatas, mano abhimani devatas, they are all born of prana. Important point here is pranat shraddham kham vayuhu. Very clearly it says that this vayu is born out of this prana. Okay, so which means that there are 2 vayus for us to remember. One who is also called prana, Mukhyaprana, and then there is a vayu who is the governing or the presiding deity for the element called vayu. So the wind god is actually, whoever we call as wind god, is born out of this Mukhyaprana. He is not same as Mukhyaprana. So it is not right to call Mukhyaprana as wind god. Okay, if you see many of the translations that are out there, they make this mistake because they look at vayu as wind force, but that is not right. That I mean, there are 2 vayus. See here, right? When you look at these verses, Saisha anastamita devata yadvayuhu. Clearly, this vayu is different from the one vayu who is born out of the prana. One does not have any interruptions in his knowledge. One whose knowledge never suffers any break, and other vayu, okay, he is referred in. He has those breaks. In fact, he is born not out of. He is not a jeshtha. This vayu is clearly not the jeshtha like the prana. So therefore, there are 2 vayus. Okay, and we call this vayu as pravaha vayu. Okay, so let's look at the whole thing now. There are Madhyama prana, you have seen there, right? All the Upanishads talk about this Madhyama prana. Who is the Uttama prana? Basically, see the very word, the middle management, right? It means that there is somebody on the top and there is somebody below also, right? And therefore, similarly here, Madhyama prana means there is a Uttama prana. That is what is referred in the Upanishads as pranasya pranaha. You know, he is the one who gives the life force. If you want to call prana as life force, it is still okay. The prana, the word prana, what is the meaning of that word prana? Anati, basically anacheshtayam, right? One who brings action into you is called prana. And that too, what in a big way, prakarshena anati. So that person is called prana. So this Uttama prana is actually Vishnu, because he is able to bring that life force in prana himself. He is the one who ensures that prana, Mukhya prana lives. Therefore, Vishnu is the bigger one. Then there is Madhyama prana. Okay, Madhyama prana is what we just saw as Mukhya prana, Mukhya vayu, and he's when you see vayu is what you see when is the term that is used when they are talking about the Adidaiva. Basically, when they are talking about all the devatas and their actions and things like their interactions outside of our body, that is called Adidaiva. When the text is referring to the same devatas in our body, it is called Adhyatma. Atma means Deha here. So the reference field is different. In one, the reference is the devatas outside. In the other, the reference is internal. And so the deity who is acting within us is Mukhya Prana. The same person outside is called Mukhya Vayu. There are other pranas also, as we just saw in the Shatprashna Upanishad, right? And they also carry the same names, Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. The word prana is common to both. So there is a tendency to get confused because of this. Okay, we will come to that. Similarly here, right, Mukhya Vayu, we saw that, his knowledge never suffers. In fact, in Chandogya Upanishad, right, we'll come to that thing next. There is one big episode, right, of how these devatas wanted to, wanted to win over the asuras. So what did they do? They basically said that if we worship Udgita is Vishnu, right, who is highly exalted, who is highly praised by the knowledgeable. That person is called Udgita, that is Vishnu. If we praise that Vishnu on his blessings, we will be able to win over these asuras. All the devatas think like that, and then they start meditating on Vishnu directly. Okay, so first they do it as Vishnu being present, as being controlling Vak, right? Being controlling the what do you call the Vag Abhimani Devata, that is Indra and Agni. What happens? Asuras will come and then block that particular activity. And so there will be variations in the Swara, Varna, and the way the Udgita Upasana is happening. So there it gets disturbed. So they will understand that, Vak Abhimani Devata Agni is subject to what do you call? He can be subdued by the asuras. Okay. Then they will say, okay, now let's meditate on Vishnu as present in Chakshu here, right? Then what happens? Again, the asuras come and they come and attack the main Abhimani Devata for sight, that is Aditya. And that's it. Again, the main activities get disturbed. So that person will start seeing things that he shouldn't be seeing. Basically, there are some things that you are not supposed to see, right? They will start doing, they will start seeing such things. So every other devatas, they will look at that devata as a representative of Vishnu, and then they want to basically do Udgita Upasana there. And all of them get disturbed. Finally, when it goes to Mukhyaprana, then it is like, you take a ball of sand and you hit a big rock with that sand. Will that rock get affected by it? Nothing will happen. These sand particles will just get disturbed. They will not be able to affect anything. The rock will stand as is. The same thing happened when they started doing Upasana of Vishnu as present in that Mukhyaprana. And because of that, he is called Akhanashma Sama. Okay? Akhana means he cannot be, basically, Ashma means rock, right? And he is that unbreakable rock. Pranadevru is Mukhyaprana, is unbreakable rock for us. If we do Upasana of him as being in us and Vishnu being in that Vayu, then it will not, that activity cannot be disturbed by the asuras. Okay. So on the other hand, the other Vayu, who is also the Devata for Grhana, right? He can be subject to flaws. In Kenopanishad, right? I think, or it is called Talavakara Upanishad by a Madhvas, right? If basically the Devatas are happy and in fact little proud that they are able to win over the Asuras. They do not understand the underlying activity that Vishnu has done. Basically, Vishnu is the one who has enabled them to win over the Asuras. They lose sight of that and they get little gloated in their own pride. Then Vishnu appears in the form of a Yaksha there. Yaksha is basically somebody whose form is not very clear to understand. So there, one by one, again, the Devatas will go and ask him, who are you? And he will ask, the Yaksha will ask, who are you? He'll say, I am Agni, I can burn anything on earth. And then he'll say, okay, he'll place a blade of grass there and then say, you can now burn this one. Nothing will happen. Then Agni will come back. Then Vayu will go. He will say, what can you do? I can blow anything out here. Okay, then do this. He will not be able to shake even that blade of grass. So then the story goes there. But the point is that there, Vayu's jnana is subject to an interruption. He could not realize that this is Vishnu. And not only that, he was subject to Ahankara also there. Because of that, but The Upanishad is also telling you that, there is a different, this Mukhyaprana does not have any setting. The one whose knowledge does not set is Mukhyaprana. So how can, or Vayu, Saisha Anastamita Devata Yad Vayu. So therefore, you must say there are two different Vayus. See, how do we know that there is one or two deities involved over here? I mean, more basic logical question, right? I mean, you see, for example, if I tell you, right, Shiva's son came or Ganesha came, okay? If I say X and Y came, X came, Y came. Just because I said X and Y came, it does not mean they are in conflict with each other, okay? The conflict is there when you tell that there are different attributes, okay? So then you will have to say that it is not one person, but there are multiple people involved over there. So here I'm telling you that, one sentence in the Upanishad tells you that Vayu's knowledge does not have any break. And another sentence is telling that Vayu's knowledge basically suffered diminution and it could not identify Vishnu, right? So there are two ways to go about doing this. They will say that either you reduce the scope of this, or you say there are two different people. So when you look at all the other options, there are multiple other options, right? And what actually is a conflict? And when you look at all those other options, Virodha Dharma, if there are two conflicting attributes, you will have to say there are two different people. Now, this is the point which I think other interpreters may miss, and because of which they keep looking at it as one Vayu who is doing all of those things there. And so we are not saying that the common perception that I mentioned in the first slide, right? That we are not saying that is wrong. That all those things apply to this Amukhya Vayu, or what we call as Pravaha Vayu. He is indeed a Dikpalaka. He does look after he is the presiding deity of the southeast direction. But Mukhya Vayu is different. He governs all directions. Okay, that is what is told in Madhuvidya also, and in Shishu Brahmana also. Okay, so he has no restrictions on any directions. He has no flaws, Mukhyaprana. On the other hand, this Amukhya Vayu can be subject to flaws. Unless we separate out these two things, and there is enough reason to separate out, you will not realize that, there are two different deities and the descriptions belong to two different people, right? So we are not dismissing the common perception. We are just saying that whatever people commonly think of Vayu is applicable to the secondary Vayu. The main Vayu, the Mukhya Vayu, is Mukhyaprana, who is Jivattama, and all these Upanishads are telling that stuff there. There are more things, right? This Vayu is also described as Pratika. Do you understand the word Pratika? Pratika means representative, symbol. We cannot meditate on Vishnu just like that. We need an idol, and because we are all not that great in our capabilities, we need an idol. We need a representative in whom we can think of Vishnu and then do our seva. Now, in general, I mean, at least the one that is shown here, right? Bhagavata, very clearly, it tells that Surya, Agni, Brahmana, cows, Vaishnava, Akasha, Vayu, Jala, and what do you call Bhumi. These are the places where you can worship Vishnu. Okay, so Puja Padani Me, it says that, right? And in fact, all beings. So Vishnu is there everywhere. But where do you worship Vishnu? There are two levels of pratimas, Chala Pratima and Achala Pratima, or Chala Pratika and Achala Pratika. Chala is mobile, Achala is immobile. So Saligrama and other things like that are idols that we see, they are all Achala Pratima. Chala Pratima is, Surya, Brahmana, Agni, that kind of stuff. Vaishnava or Vayu and all those, them are the Chala Pratimas. There is more weightage to puja done to Vishnu as present in the Chala Pratimas. So in fact, Sarva Bhutani, it says that, right? So Vishnu, when Vishnu is worshipped in living beings, it gives more value than Vishnu being worshipped in idols and other places like that. So this is basically a character setting thing, if you notice, but we'll come to that later. The main thing is, of all these different adhishtanas, of all these different places where Vishnu can be worshipped, Marut, that is Kham, right? That Marut is Vayu. Lord late says, a couple of verses down the line, Vayu Mukhyadhiya. The main, your mind should be that Vayu is the main pratika for where Vishnu should be worshipped. That's why Namaste Vayu Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. This is the interpretation there. When we say Pratyaksham Brahmasi, it means that he is the nearest or the best representative of Vishnu, where we should worship Vishnu. So we should imagine Vayu and Vishnu as being present in that kind of Vayu, and we should worship Vishnu there. Then our worship will not be disturbed by asuras. Whatever punya, whatever benefit we get from there, it will not be snatched away by those asuras. We will not have wrong impact from that kind of upasana. We will only have positive benefits. Therefore, Vayu as the medium through which one should Vayu is the medium through which one should worship Vishnu. Now, all of this is there in the in this case, we have shown the Purana also, right? There are more things here, right? Now, see here, right? Which is not known to others. Okay, I just thought I will tell a couple of those things. Swakiyam udakam nadyah samudre naiva janate vayustu tat pritagnatva meghe kritva pravarshati. Very important point. See, what happens is, we know the what do you call, the cycle of how the water and the water evaporates from these different rivers. They form clouds, and then again clouds go to the different. They move again through wind, and basically they they shower over there, and you get rains. And again, the cycle continues. The water will eventually flow to the rivers. Rivers will go to the sea, and somewhere in the middle, evaporation also happens, and clouds, so on and so forth. Everybody knows this cycle. What Acharya is telling in this one, right? This is there in Atharvana Upanishad, is that, let's say Ganga river is there. Those atoms, those water molecules, whatever go up, okay, Ganga molecules are there now in the cloud. He will eventually ensure that those molecules come back to Ganga only. Vayustu tat pritagnatva meghe krutva pravarshati. He will ensure that Ganga molecules, whatever was there, comes back to the same river. Or Yamuna river is there. Yamuna molecules, whatever is there, it will come back to the same river. So Mukhyaprana is responsible for doing that. Only he can do that, right? And so which means that his knowledge is not just without an interruption. It is also so vast, and with so much detail he knows. He knows that this molecule was originally there in Ganga, and he will put it back there. Okay, that is one mahima which is told over there. Another one which is told, which is a very important thing, right, is that, see, when we looked at the Shatprashna Upanishad, right, the king, the way a king appoints and governs, right, the king will just say, okay, you go sit in that place, and then you are now the minister for that particular activity or that department or whatever it is, right? The king really doesn't do anything more than just appointing and then giving powers to that person. Is the same thing case with our Mukhyaprana? The answer to that is no. He is not just appointing them, he is also governing them. He gives them their individual powers. He gives them the powers for each devata to do their job. Okay, this one was told there in the Shatprashna when we saw there, right? Itaran pranan prathak prathak sannidhatte. He will also not just adhitishtasva. He will also go there, sit in those devatas, and then get them to do their activities. And the proof of that is also here, right? Sarvendriyanam vyaparan prana eva karoti ayam indriyastaha prutakchaso shaktopi swayamevatu. So Mukhyaprana has two places. One, he is sitting here, and also he is sitting in every other Abhimani Devata here, right? And he's sitting on all those places, and he does the job twice, basically, once through the devatas and once by himself. Okay. Not only that, from birth till 6 months, he does the job of all Indriya Abhimani Devatas. Those Indriya Abhimani Devatas do not do anything at that time. So till the first 6 months, Shanmasat Purva Balanam Kevala Pranato Bhavet Vyaparaha. Okay. So he is the one who manages all Vyapara, all Indriya Abhimani. So if a 6-month-old baby is seeing, or 5-month-old baby is seeing, Prana is responsible directly for that side. Aditya is not doing anything over there. In our case, Aditya, sun is also there. Surya is here, and Surya is again internally instigated or powered by Mukhyaprana. But within 6 months, it is only Mukhyaprana who does his job. And therefore, the Upanishad says one very interesting point. It says that after 6 months, the Indriya Abhimani Devatas take over. And at that point, they don't remember what happens before 6 months. So if at all there is any chance of going back and seeing what happened, it is only till the 6 months of birth. After that, you may, what happened from birth to 6 months, people will not be able to recollect. That is the point that is made in this Upanishad here. There is also some more very interesting points that the Upanishads mention about this Mukhyaprana, which is not told generally. I am in the Pravachanas, or it is not very popular. But the Upanishads are very clear in praising our master. And, once, for example, it says that if you close your ears, right, you will be able to hear some sort of humming sound. And that humming sound is nothing but stotra done by Mukhyaprana to the Vaishwanara who is within your heart, right? So Mukhyaprana is sitting there, and then he is doing continuous stotra of Vishnu, who is seated inside you. And that sound is what is a humming sound. You may not be able to understand that, but yeah, that is his praise there. There are also other things that the Upanishad mention. For example, Mukhyaprana is seated in the eye, right? And he is surrounded by the 7 lords, including Indra, Agni, and Rudra, Sameta Saptakshitaya Upatishtante, right? All these gods are seated in the eye, around the cornea, basically, in different parts of the eye, and they are all continuously meditating on Mukhyaprana, who is seated in the eye, who is, of course, internally meditating again on Vishnu. But the Upanishad tells this thing to show how all these devatas are dependent or subservient to this Mukhyaprana. So then there are other things also, right? For example, these Garuda and Sesha, right? They are exalted souls. Rudra also, right? They are all exalted souls. So they go to Mukhyaprana to get Upadesha, and he basically takes them, in this much crack, in a very infinitesimal crack in the Brahmanda. Basically, he takes them and then shows them Vishnu's form, Makshika Iva, and then they praise him that you are the Vyashti and you are the Samashti and all this. This is all told in the Upanishad. And there is one more, Jaiminiya Brahmana. It says that all devatas are on one half. Vayu is the other half. Basically, it says that is the kind of reference it is given in Jaiminiya Brahmana Upanishad. And yeah, there are so many of those. And Vayus, this thing is also told in Aitareya Upanishad. I did not get time to put the references here. And you will find that, sometimes, it is essential to mention, why other people missed it, right? So other people, see, I have read this thing. I have not verified it myself, but even Vachaspati Mishra, who wrote Bhamati, right? He tells that, if you look at the Upanishad, right? I think he writes this in Matarishvadikarana. I'm not sure about that. He tells that there is something different about Vayu, but don't get too perturbed about it, what his point is. And so I think it must have hit some of them that, there is something different there, but they were just not blessed enough to take this thing forward and to really apply logic and understand that there are 2 different beings there. In fact, in one of the Shatprashna Upanishad commentaries, Vadiraja Swami also, I'm sure you people will be knowing him. he mentions that, he mentions a reference from Skanda Purana, right? Where Kandva Rishi, right? He curses Mukhyaprana to be not known in his Mula Rupa, but only to be known through his Avatara Rupa. And this is told in the Skanda Purana, and there he mentions that, basically, I mean, there is some incident that happens there, but Mukhyaprana accepts that, and therefore Mukhyaprana's other people's knowledge of Mukhyaprana is limited because of that curse. But the Veda being there before that incident happened, it does not stop us from knowing Mukhyaprana. You have to just apply logic, and then you will see that there are different people. In fact, some people think that prana is Indra only. Okay, I was just looking at there is one Tarka Tirtha Lakshman Shastri or something like that. He thinks that prana means Indra, but that is also wrong, because in the example that I mentioned, right, Tameta Saptakshitaya Upatishtante, Indra is one of the deities who is sitting within the eye and then meditating on worshipping the Vayu who is seated in the eye. So why will you worship yourself there? Right? It makes no sense. Now, similarly, in fact, there was another objection, I think. If you see the Shankara Bhashya on the same Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he just says Upatishtante means they follow him. But that is not the sense you get from the Upanishad. Upanishad sense is more, where there is subservience that is mentioned over there. In fact, the 7 deities that are mentioned here, right, they are they worship the prana there. Okay, they are also called by the different rishi names. So Rudra is called as I think Gautama or somebody like that. Okay, because he is full of knowledge, and so that Rudra is worshipping the Mukhyaprana there. Just having a spatial sequence is inconsequential to the spiritual sadhaka. Why will the Upanishad even mention that? So some of these interpretations are, outright dismissible. You don't need much thinking to figure out why they are wrong. But if you apply pure logic, you will understand that, there are different deities. One Vayu who is out of any flaws, another Vayu who is who cannot have any flaws, another Vayu who has flaws. Similarly with prana, and prana is also different from Hiranyagarbha. Some people think that, prana is another form of Hiranyagarbha, that is Chaturmukha Brahma. That is also wrong, because you just saw that that Upanishad here, right? Here Prajapati is the one who basically brings forth this prana. He is the one who created this prana, right? So, and there are other places also. First prana comes, and then Hiranyagarbha comes. That also is mentioned. So therefore, it is you have to apply this logic of, if there is Viruddha Dharma, if there are contradictory or conflicting attributes, then it means there are 2 different people, right? And you cannot explain these conflicts by some evasive techniques like this happened in X time, this happened in a different time, or this happened in X place, this happened in Y place. You cannot explain these conflicts like that. The only possible explanation is by holding that there are 2 different beings, that there are 2 different people out there, right? Now, yeah, with that, Mahabharata also mentions this thing. There is one in the, so see, after Kanva's Shapa, basically there is not direct mention of Mukhyaprana in the Paurushaya Granthas, either Valmiki Ramayana or Mahabharata. It is very much reduced. Bhima is an avatar of Mukhya Vayu only. Okay, he is not of the Mukhya Vayu, because he shows that kind of strength. He shows that kind of wisdom and judgment throughout the Mahabharata. He didn't need Bhagavad Gita, and he is the one who tells that, okay, tomorrow he will show, for example, when Karna walks in, right, in the first, in the art, when all these students are displaying their craft, right, Karna walks in, and Bhima is the first one to point out his identity without having any previous knowledge or interaction with that guy. So how did all of these things come about? You should know that, he shows this wisdom in very, indirect means. He will show that his knowledge is complete. Now, so Bhima is also, only the avatars are mentioned. And Bhima handles Asuras. who are not touched by the other great people. Jarasandha. Jarasandha has Shiva Vara. He has boons from Brahma and Rudra. How can Bhima defeat him? How can Bhima kill him? If he is an inferior deity, it is like, me going against my superior, many years superior, many times superior. If Brahma has blessed one demon or whoever it is, right? He will be indefeatable by anybody who is lesser to Brahma. But Bhima defeats Jarasandha. He kills him. Okay, Bhima also defeats Duryodhana. Bhima defeats Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama is Rudra himself. Okay, so all these things point out that he is the avatar of Mukhyaprana himself. Okay, now, so only the avatars are, highlighted in this text. Valmiki Ramayana, Agastya will come and tell, Brahma te bhavishyati tava prasadat. Agastya will tell Ramachandra, because of your grace, this Hanuman will become Brahma in the next. He'll say he will become next Brahma. So these Puranas, they mention this, and Garuda Purana Brahma Kanda is there. Some mentions in the Skanda Purana is there. You can make out that, these deities, Mukhyaprana avatars are mentioned, but not Mukhyaprana himself. Okay, and there are other shlokas also which tell this thing indirectly in the Mahabharata itself and in Harivamsha also. For example, in Mahabharata, when Pandu is basically thinking on whom to invoke next. Kunti will ask him, okay, now that Dharma is born, whom do you want to be born next? So then he will say, right, Brahmano Dipadam Sreshto Devasreshtastu Marutaha. He will say this thing. Ashwamedho Kratusreshtaha Jyotisreshto Divakaraha Brahmano Dipadam Sreshtaha Devasreshtastu Marutaha. So therefore get Maruta. What that words means is that of all the yajnas, Ashwamedha is the best. Of all the luminous objects that a man can see, the sun is the best. And of all the two-legged animals or beings, Brahmana is the best. And the best among the devatas is Marut. Okay. There is also another verse in the, so he'll say, if Dharma comes alone, it will not be able to do anything. You need Bala and Jnana to be able to sustain Dharma. So that is his scheme, right? First, he wants to get Dharma. Therefore, he invokes Dharma through Kunti. So that's why Dharmaraja Yudhishthira is born. Then now this Dharma has to be supported ably. So he says you need both knowledge and strength, valor. And that's why you have to invoke Mukhyavayu. Devasreshtastu Marutaha. In fact, the word Vayu comes from Ba and Aya. Ba means Bala, Aya means Jnana. So he is called Balajnana Devata for that reason. Vayu is called Balajnana Devata. And he shows this thing in infinite measure in all his avatars and Mula Rupa also. Okay. And it also, Vayur Bhimo, Bhimanadu. There are many verses that come in the, not many actually. There are some verses which talk about which highlight Bhima or Vayu's efficacy. In fact, there is one verse in Harivamsha Purana also. There it tells that, again, just like Prana was born, right, from all these, who is superior to all these deities, so was this one born. It is told as an example over there. So there are such indirect references also. Other commentators or other traditions, right, they have not been able to do a proper analysis, right, because of multiple other textual issues, right. One I told you, right, if there are Viruddha dharmas, you should be able to say there are two different people. They are not able to do that kind of stuff. And then there is another thing called Samanadhikaranya, which also blocks them. There are better ways to resolve that. I think they have not been able to get a good hang of that, which is why they have not been able to recognize Mukhyaprana as different from the Dikpalaka Vayu. With that, I would like to end my this one. There is a work called Vayu Paratta Samarthanam, written by a great scholar called Kashi Timmannacharya. I think I'm not sure if it is available or now or not. He tells that this Mukhyaprana has these 12 different properties, Viruddha Dharma, which is not there in regular Devatas. Therefore, we have to say that there is para Vayu, or the superiority of Vayu is known through these 12 different attributes. That's what he mentions. I may have done some mistake here, right? There are fewer than that. But anyway, yeah. With that said, I will like to close this thing. We can now open it for questions, if at all there are any.
So the first question which many people are asking is, how, we know the Chaturmukha Brahma is brought from the navel of Lord Vishnu through the lotus. How was this Mukhyaprana born? Was it through Vishnu's breath or through Sankarshana Rupa Paratma, or from how was he actually born? This is one question which many people ask.
Okay. So there are creation happens in 3 stages. Okay. Creation happens in 3 stages. One is, let's say this is Brahmanda. Okay. The formation of the universe, so called. Before that, what Vishnu does is Sukshma Srishti. Okay, he basically takes all souls and then he gives them one outer Sukshma Sharira. This is Sukshma Srishti. Then they are given Sthula Deha also. Okay, and then they come into the Brahmanda and again they are all born. So this is the 3 stages, to put it at a high level. In the first stage, basically, right, Aniruddha Rupi Paramatma is the one who gives body to both Brahma and Prana. In the second stage, which is when the Sthula Deha is there, Vasudeva Rupi Paramatma gives birth to Chaturmukha Brahma. Sankarshana Rupi Paramatma gives birth to Sutranamaka Vayu. Okay, Sutranamaka is also told in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He is the one who basically holds all the worlds together. That is how Vayuna vai Sutrena Vayuna vai Loka Samrabdha. That is how the Upanishad says. Okay. Now this Sutranamaka Vayu comes from Sankarshana and Jaya. Jaya is the Lakshmi's form that is associated with Sankarshana. And once they enter the Brahmanda, Chaturmukha Brahma comes first here. And there, from Vayu, from Chaturmukha Brahma's and Paramatma's breath, right, Prana, both this Vayu, Mukhya and Amukhya Vayu both come out from there. That is what happens there.
Thank you.
So did I answer your... So in the third, so there are 3 stages. Second stage, Sutranamaka Vayu is created by Sankarshana Rupi Paramatma. And then the Brahmanda formation happens. Then Vishnu comes, from his navel, Chaturmukha Brahma is born. And that entire thing fills up the universe as Virat Rupa. In that Virat Rupa, Vayu comes from the place where Prana is there. So both Vayus, both Mukhya and Amukhya Vayu.
Any other questions, please?
Or I hope I didn't add to the confusion.
Namaste. Namaste.
Go ahead.
Yeah. See, how can we mediate on this Mukhyaprana? What, because we are all familiar with Vishnu form and all, but how we meditate on Vayu?
Very good question. So Vayu is told to be very similar to Vishnu in his look. Okay, the way we should worship on him is told in Tantrasara Sangraha. Basically, he says that, you know, you should look at Vayu as seated on Vishnu's right thigh, holding he has 4 hands, 4 arms. He looks like a regular human only. He is not with the, the Hanuman kind of face there. He looks like human. And he has all the 32 Lakshanas. Okay, the very symmetrical body is there. He has 2 hands folding and worshipping Vishnu. The other one is Gada and something else is there, I forgot. And this Vayu is looking at Vishnu and then worshipping him. So we should worship on that kind of Vayu. And internally, in our this thing, basically the way we should look at it is, there is Hrit Padma is there, and Agresha, Mulesha are there. So there is a lotus petal or something like that is there. Okay, initially it will be like this. Later, by using Vayu Bija, we should put it up like this. And then there is Mukhyaprana here, and then there is Vishnu here, slightly on the top. And then there is Mukhyaprana seated here, and then our Jiva is seated over there. we should look at this, we should remember this, and then do his worship. That is how it will, then there will be no problem there. I hope I answered
Sir,
your
as any other major acharya referred to this Ruju concept?
Sorry, come again.
As any other major acharya referred to this concept of Rujus?
Any other thing? No, they have not done, but you will find enough references in the, even in the popular scripture. Even you don't need to even look at what Acharya has given. But if you look at, for example, Bhagavata, right? Chaturmukha Brahma tells, I will undertake this act of creation only if you ensure that my mind is never moved from you. And on that promise, he moves forward, which means that is equivalent of Ruju only, right? And there are, and you know, whatever you just saw, right? Saisha anastamita devata yadvayuhu. So you will find, I mean, the word Ruju may be different. That may or may not be there, but that is not as relevant as, you know, the concept that it is trying to portray. The point of Ruju is no sakama karma. It is a pure nishkama karma. Knowledge never undergoes or suffers any diminution, and they have knowledge about everything. In fact, in Shat Prashna, it says thing, all the Indriya Abhimani Devatas, they say that, you know, I am superior, I am superior. So then Prana, Tan Varishta Prana Uvacha, Prana will tell them, the best of them all, you guys are deluded, don't get delusion. I will be and then he will give them knowledge. So the Prana being Guru, these are the points that make up for, that describe the concept of Ruju. And you will find ample references to them in the Upanishads. We saw some of them now, there are more there. The word Ruju itself, I don't think is there, at least not in the popular literature. You will obviously find many references within Acharya's work. And I really do not worry about what others have said or not, because I don't think they are mostly logical anyway. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
There is one question. Is there any reference available that Madhvacharya is Vayu himself other than Balitta Suktam? Are there references available today? That's an interesting question. So my this thing is that there are multiple such references. Okay, and you know, some of them are given by Narayana Panditacharya himself. Rushabha Sutta is there. There is one work called Madhva Mantrartha Manjari. Okay, you should. It is written by Vaishwanathi Acharya. I think he's grandson or something like that, related to Narayana Panditacharya. He interprets Rishabha Sutta and many of these other suttas that are told. So there are many other suttas which talk about Acharya's reference as Vayu Avatara. Other than that, you know, there are some Puranic references, okay, which are told by Vijayendra Swami in his work called Madhva Tantra Mukha Bhushanam. He gives many such Puranic references. Some of them can be found. In today's world, in contemporary literature, you can find them in Garuda Purana, 3rd Skanda, that is the Brahma Kanda. Then you will be able to find them in little bit in Skanda Purana. And I recently found one in, you know, Sri Mushna Kshetra Mahatmyam. Okay, Sri Mushnam, I think some of you may be knowing. It is a Varaha Kshetra in Tamil Nadu. So there is a Sthala Purana associated with that. So there again, Acharya is mentioned as Vayu Avatara. And then there are other references that are available even today also, but not as many as what was available even to Vijayendra Swami. And definitely some of the Vedic references are not that straightforward. But there is no other option, right? I mean, in the sense, even Balitta Suttam is there, right? Dasha Pramatim Janayanta Yoshanaha is mentioned. Now, it basically it cannot be referring to Agni as the way other people look at it. It has to refer to Vayu. So who is this Vayu's third avatara? You now add up 2 and 2, right? And then say you take the other Puranic literature, and then it has to be Acharya only. The Puranic references also mention not just Acharya as, you know, Madhvacharya is Vayu. They also mention, you know, his father's name is Madhyageha in one of the references. In another, it says that he will be born in near Rajatapitha. Then he will write these different bhashyas. Some of them are also mentioned over there. Then, so there are other references. Sorry, what's that? Brahma Purana, Garuda Purana, Brahma Kanda, not 3rd Skanda. It is 3rd Kanda, I think, is Brahma Kanda. Yeah. So we mentioned that Ruju means no Vakra, always acting to please, but it seems there are so many Vaishnavas who have that quality, Rayuru, Vijayendru, and other Sampradaya Vaishnavas. Can you kindly help clarify? See, the Acharya himself has clarified that above certain level in the Taratamya, right? Many people qualify to be Ekanta Bhaktas. When you say Ekanta Bhaktas, their main properties, their main, desire is to please Vishnu. But the one who has it continuously, without any interruption, consistently is Vayu only, is Ruju only. Other people will have some other, straightness will be lost little bit. For example, even Prahlada, right? He pleads the Lord to save him. Bhima never does that. Acharya points this thing out in Mahabharata. So please save my life. Bhima does not say, even when Nahusha has held him for many days together and is crushing his bones. Bhima doesn't react. He just keeps praising Vishnu as if nothing has happened. Okay. So it is a question of degree. So in Vayu, there is zero deviation. In others, the deviation keeps increasing. By the time it comes to us, we are totally Vakri only. There is a little bit of Rutudast in us, that's all. So Sakama Karma vastas Nishkama Karma. One who does Nishkama always is Ruju. That is the idea there. What is that thing? Sorry.
Any other questions, or you can end the show? Any other questions, please?
Well, there is one thing. I got confused between Pranadevru, Vayudevru and Anjaneyadevru. Is Hanuman the son of Vayu? Answer is yes. So the son of Vayu is a way of saying basically he's an Amsha of Vayu also. And anyway, Vayu also gives his Amsha to Anjani Devi, and that is again Mukhya Vayu. And Mukhya Vayu is also responsible for our breathing also, by the way. Okay. So therefore, they all refer to the same Mukhya Vayu only. There is another Vayu who comes in only in Mahabharata, this one, right? The Dikpalaka Vayu. He fights with Krishna and, during the Parijata Apaharana episode, he fights with Krishna. The main Vakyu, Hanuma, Bhima and Madhvacharya are avatars of the Mukhya Vayu only. So Vayu Jivattama is basically, we are referring to Vayu Devru, whose avatar is Anjaneya Devru. That is to that question. Namaskara. Mukhyaprana is referred as Dashaguna Manidhama. I do not know where this thing is. Dasha Pramati is what is told in the Shruti. Dasha Pramati is basically, okay, this one is also there. I know this one, right? Wait, just a minute. So Dasha Pramati means, Dasha is basically means 10. But the way our Shrutis talk about it is Shruti 10 powers of 10. So anything power of 10 is also referred as Dasha. And Dasha Pramati means basically Dasheti Sarvamuddishtam, means completeness, is what is indicated by the word number 10. And so Dasha Pramati means complete intelligence or mind or whatever you call that. Therefore, Dasha Pramati means Purna Pramati, that is Vayudeva. Okay, Mukhya Vayu. Dasha Guna is basically what is told in the meaning of the word Vrukodara. Okay, Bhima is called. So Mahabharata has many layers of meanings. Okay, one of the meanings is each of these Pandavas represent a set of characteristics, right? So Dharma, for example, Dharmaraja, he represents justice or fairness and that kind of stuff. On the other hand, Bhima represents 10 gunas, okay? And Arjuna represents the acts of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So these 10 is what is referred here as Dashaguna Manidhama. Okay, those 10 are Dhrutir, Meda, Balam, Dhrutihi, something like that is there. Okay, I will have to refer to Mahabharata Tatparya for that. Give me 1 minute, I will do that. Just give me 1 minute. See, that is the difference between if you have a scholar addressing you, you will not have this kind of questions. Bhaktirjnanam sa vairagyam prajna medha dhritihi stitihi yoga prano balam chaiva vrukodara iti smritaha etad dashatmako vayuhu tasmad bhimaha tadatmakaha. He is full of devotion, he is full of knowledge, he is full of vairagya, he is full of Vishnu consciousness, he is very intelligent, he has stability, he is situated always, so on and so forth. I mean, these are the things that these 10 qualities are called in the group. The set of these 10 qualities is called Vrukodara, and that set of 10 is possessed by Vayu, and therefore Bhima, and therefore he is called Vrukodara. This is what is the reference given by Acharya in Mahabharata Vatpanirnaya. Yeah.
So the okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask the final question or any more questions?
There are some more questions here. I think there's some, but they're all requests. Where to get Vayu Paratva Samarthanam? See, Madhva Mantrartha Manjari, you can get it in the bookstall. I think you should be able to order that. Vayu Paratva Samarthanam was, I think it is out of stock right now. I'm not too sure actually. I can post the details to Venkateshji and then he can give it to you people later. Then there is Sapta Shivasu Matrushu is there. So in the last question, I think let's stop it with this. Basically, the 7 mothers, one who rests with the 7 mothers is considered as Bhima. The 7 mothers are the 4 Vedas, the Pancharatra and the Itihasa, and there is one more. So one who rests, basically one who is always in these 7 mothers or fountains of knowledge, that is called Bhima. Bhima Sena comes from Sapta Shivasu Matru. Shiva means auspicious. From these 7 different mothers, whoever is always there is called Bhima. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it, sir.
So I suppose we can end the session now.
Yeah, I will plead again. Please, if there are any mistakes, I will request you to go to scholars and then get them corrected or clarified. I hope I have been able to at least help get you understand one point, which is that, the common perception is different. Our perception is different of Mukhya Vayu, and ours is justifiable. And common thing is not wrong. We have to mix both of them and understand the nature of 2 deities. With that, Madhesha Krishnarpanastu. Please go ahead, Venkatesh.
Okay. Yes. On behalf of Taula Madhokuta, we thank Mr. Krishna Kadri for giving this lecture. I think we need more of such lectures in English in the coming months in topics like, say, Tattvamasi, Nehanasti Kinchana, and other topics, because it will help the layman